Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about hope for tomorrow, tips on feeling more hopeful in your life. As the pandemic enters its third year, we've all been worn down by the stress and anxiety it has caused us. And that stress and anxiety has been constantly building up over the last couple of years. Some days it's really hard to stay the course and be hopeful for the future. I have to constantly remind myself that there's better days ahead and that hope is not lost. And that nothing lasts forever, and that this is a temporary situation that we'll all be able to overcome. So for those who are feeling down about whatever's going on in their lives, these are my tips and strategies for being more hopeful for the future. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about my tips on feeling hopeful and also my general thoughts on hope. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell, share with your friends if you like this content. And let's go! So this video is really geared towards anyone who needs a push to feel more hopeful for the future. Maybe there are certain things that's going on in the world that makes you feel down, or something in your personal life that troubles you. Really anything that's taken a mental toll on you and you need to feel more optimistic. Whatever the case may be, these are my tips and strategies on getting through a personally challenging time. And since I'm not a licensed professional, I can only say that all these tips and strategies are for entertainment purposes only. If you really need help, please seek a professional to help you get through that challenging time. Now let's talk about the 5 tips that I have to feel more hopeful. Number 1, be kind to yourself. As with everything in life, being kind to yourself has many benefits. So whenever you're going through a tough time, be sure to take care of yourself first and foremost. In many instances, it is easy to blame ourselves for whatever situation we're in. That self-criticism can really feed into our hopelessness and make us even more depressed. And it certainly doesn't help when you're in the midst of very powerful emotions as well. Certainly, if something is your fault, work towards bettering it in the future, but don't obsessively beat yourself up for it. Feeling hopeful starts with neutral to positive emotions. When we are mean or down on ourselves, we don't give room for hope to grow from that. We essentially drown it out with our powerful emotions and self-criticisms. Being kind to yourself can help you acknowledge and accept whatever happened to you and help you to move on from it. And once you start to move on from your past disappointments, you can start to feel hope. This certainly is not easy and it can be quite tough depending on your mental state. Start small with maybe positive affirmations and move towards fully accepting who you are. And work your way up to being really kind to yourself when you're going through a troubling time. Number 2, do one thing. When you're in the midst of feeling down or hopeless, just do one thing. That thing can be anything. Just focus in on one thing and do it. This can be taking a walk, listening to a song, or writing an entry in a journal. This is important because it helps you focus your mind on something other than hopelessness. And it gives your brain a mental break so that it can think about something else for a change. This in effect is a useful distraction. The longer it goes on, the more the focus shifts away from your hopelessness. I know for me that this works. When I'm feeling down or hopeless, I focus on one thing and just do that. Because it puts my mind into a different state and I can think more clearly after I've done that one thing. And after which my mind becomes more neutral or even positive. The one thing also gives us a small goal that we can easily complete. For example, listening to that one song might be easier to do than to reach out to your friends and being vulnerable with them. So if you're in need of hope, start with something small and then gradually build on it. Anything that gets your mind onto a better path is worth it in the end. Number 3, everything is temporary. Emotions are temporary as well. Over time, they'll fade into the background and become less intense. When we keep this in mind, we can prime ourselves to know that better days is ahead of us. Knowing that there's an end date to our hopelessness helps us give some certainty in our uncertain life. I know for myself, I went through many of these setbacks, either in personal life or in work. After a very intense disappointment period, it gradually became less intense for me and I was able to get back to my normal state. And eventually it didn't affect me anymore and I forgot about it. The feeling of hopelessness will go away as well. As we start to do our daily habits and rituals, it will eventually subside. Unfortunately, the other thing to keep in mind is that it also works for positive emotions as well. Eventually, positive, intense emotions will also subside and gradually go away. Even if you really want to hold on to them because it brings you so much joy. So when you're feeling down or negative, know that it's temporary and it will eventually go away. Number 4, have a grand life, vision, or plan. When you have a greater life purpose, you can focus your efforts and energy on that vision. This creates a lot of structure in your life, so whenever you're feeling down or hopeless, you have something to refocus and get back to. Because when we're going through tough times, it's always easier to get through that if we know our life's purpose. The most hopeful people I know always have some grand vision for themselves or know exactly what they're gonna do with their life. It's ultimately what drives them and keeps them going for a long period of time. They get up in the morning and know exactly what they want to do, and that gives them strength and hope. For For my life, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an engineer and help build things. So I crafted my life around that, learning and studying as much as I can about engineering. That purpose in life helped me get through the times when I was down on myself because I had a bad grade or because I wasn't making a lot of progress in my career. I use my passion and drive from engineering to help me through those times when I'm distracted or just otherwise unproductive. When we despair, we tend to focus in on ourselves and our own problems in the world. But keeping a greater vision in mind helps us bring us out of our own self-worries, because we look to something that is bigger than ourselves and our problems. So if you're going through a tough period and you need to change a mindset, craft a goal or vision for yourself and make plans to accomplish it so you'll feel better about the actions you're taking on it. And number 5, seek others. Sometimes we just need to be in the company of other people, because being around other people can ultimately help us feel more hopeful about our future. Others can give us a different perspective and we can compare and contrast with their lives. Ultimately, when we're down or hopeless, we might be overtaken by emotions and we might not see our perspective clearly. And that's when someone that we trust can give us a different perspective on what we're going through. Because it's very easy when we're not in a good mental state to tunnel vision ourselves and to be very laser focused on bad things. So when we talk to other people, they can highlight problems or roadblocks we're going through much easier than we can. So for me, I always rely on other people when I'm feeling down to give me more perspective. And it also really helps to get problems or issues off my chest so that I don't have to deal with it myself. So seek others if you think you've lost your faith or perspective in whatever you're doing. Others might be able to take your situation and help you see a hopeful possibility. So here are some of my general thoughts on hope. Hope, at its core, is a positive outlook for the future. When we are able to maintain hopefulness, we are kinder, more patient, and more willing to help others. When we don't have hope, the world is more colder and isolated from others. It's a vicious cycle because the more isolated people are from each other, the more hopeless they get, and then they are more isolated as a result. They're less willing to seek out others. We can break out of it by acknowledging that hope is attainable and that it's worth pursuing if we put in the hard work it takes to get there, by making it a priority and working on hopefulness every day. So those are my tips on feeling more hopeful for the future. I wanted to make this video not only for others, but also for myself when I'm feeling down or out. Because even in the darkest of times, I want to remember that there is hope in the world and that it is worth pursuing. And that the pursuit of it might be difficult, but it is worth attaining and keeping. Knowing that there's only a few things I need to keep in mind when I'm feeling down helps me to refocus and take action on it. So the main keys of this video are to be kind to yourself, do one thing, and have a grand vision or master plan for yourself. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment down below on what you do to feel hopeful and how has that helped you in the past. And I'll see you next time.